This lecture is going to be about creating your first Finale project. We're going to be using Footprints by Wayne Shorter, specifically the lead sheet version found in the real book. So first things first, open up your copy of Footprints as a PDF and then open Finale. So when you double click on Finale to open it for the first time, you may have a window pop up here and you may not. If you do not have it, because I don't right now, go up to File, Launch Window, and then you can make it appear. So this either popped up automatically or you just opened it by going to File, Launch Window. We're going to create a new song, so you're going to go to Setup Wizard, click on that. And there are a few ensembles here that are kind of templates that you can start with, but we're not going to. We're going to go with Create New Ensemble. In fact, we're almost always going to start with a completely blank ensemble. Because we're doing a jazz song, we're going to go with this handwritten style. Engraved style would be more of that standard way sheet music looks, classical music, choral music, things like that. But in jazz, even though it is created with software notation, it looks like it's written by hand. Score size, part size. So we're not going to be pulling specific parts from a score. We're just going to have the one piece of music that we're going to pull from. So let's leave both of those as portrait. Click Next. Again, this is a lead sheet. This is not for any one instrument in particular. So blank staff is just fine. So click on blank staff, click on Add, and then Next. All right, so now let's carry the information over from the sheet music. So title is Footprints. Composer is Wayne Shorter. Arranger, write your name there. And for the copyright, just to be safe, let's copy everything exactly as it appears in the music. All right, next. As you look at the music, first thing you'll probably notice is that it's in 3/4. So let's change the time signature or the meter to 3/4. Song has 3 flats, which tells us it's either an E flat or C minor. But if you notice, the song begins with a C minor chord, ends with a C minor chord, and it begins with a C minor arpeggio, 1 5 1 3. So we can, with confidence, say that it's C minor. So with these arrows here, if you want to go to the sharp keys, you click the up arrows. If you want to go to flat keys, click the down arrows. So let's go down to 3 flats, change this to minor. Oh, not keyless, minor. 1, 2. There we go. Specify initial tempo marking. So that would be like if we wanted to write allegro or rock or something like that. Now this is a jazz waltz and it says that, but we're not going to write that here. We'll write that somewhere else. So for now, we'll just leave that alone. In particular, because it's difficult to change this later in the project if you start with it here. So if we leave it blank now and we do not click on this part here, it's much easier to work with later. We would only add that in if we knew exactly what we wanted. So don't select that. Coming down here, we do have a pickup measure in this song. There's a 1/8 note pickup measure. So we'll specify, we'll click on the 8th note. And then finally, number of measures, we can just leave that there. It's really easy to add and subtract measures later. So finish. All right, good so far. Well, let's just jump right on in. So if I go over here, this is the main tool palette. Click on the arrow. I'm going to double click on the title, highlight it, and I'm going to underline it. Again, I just want it to be a little bit closer to the way the song looks. So I'm going to go up here to text, style, underline. And over here, where it says score, I'm going to double click in this box here. I still have the text tool selected, which is fine. So double click score. And let's change that. Let's highlight that and change it to Jazz Waltz in parentheses. Okay. Well, now we're going to look at the clef. So this song, the first four measures are actually in bass clef, and then it switches to treble clef in measure 5. There are a few different ways you can go about changing the clef in a song where it's for only part of the song, like this one. So I'll show you both ways. If we click on this clef tool right over here, we're going to double click the very beginning of the song because that's where we want the clef to change. So you'll notice that there are, at what at first glance appear to be 4 different bass clefs, but in reality they're not. There's only this one is bass clef. This one is bass clef 8VB, bass clef 8VA, and this is baritone. So we want this proper bass clef here. And what we can do down here is select the measures we want it for. Now we really want measures 1 through 4, but so that I can show you the other way to change the clef, let's go ahead and go 1 through 5. There we go. So we have 5 measures of the clef. But again, we really only want 4. So now with that clef tool still selected, let's say this is the measure we want to change, which it is. Double click. And now we want to put it back to treble clef. And rather than saying this measure to some other measure, let's just say this measure to the end of the piece. All right, so now the clefs look good. So now it's just about inputting notes. So we're going to click on the 8th note. You're going to click on the rhythmic duration, and then you're going to place the note. So we've clicked on the 8th note. We're down here, and we're just going to drag it so that that note head is on G, and click on the G. Now the next few notes are quarter notes, so we're going to go back up here. And this, by the way, is called simple note entry. There's another method that we're going to learn later in the course called speedy note entry. If you've already worked with Finale before, you are, of course, welcome to use either method. But for those of you who are new to the program, just know that we're going to start with this basic version of the program so you can really get comfortable with it, and then you'll learn techniques to go much faster later on. So now I'm just going to look at that 151 CGC. I'm going to put those in. Next note is a half note, so I'll go back up here, place on that E flat. Now we have our first tie. So ties are really easy. All you have to do is press the T button on the keyboard. It creates a tie. Then we change to an 8th note. Put that there. And then G. So we're halfway done with the first line, at least the first line of the PDF that you have. You'll notice that measures 3 and 4 are identical to measures 1 and 2. And there are 2 ways you can copy measures over, and you're going to want to because you can save a lot of time doing it this way. So the first way is to grab the arrow tool. Excuse me. Grab the arrow tool here. You're going to click and drag and highlight the measures you want. Then you're going to click and drag them to where you want the other one. So I'm going to do edit undo to show you another way to do that. You can also click on one measure and then hold shift, click the next measure. That's especially useful if you're copying like 30 measures. Just click on the first one, hold shift, click on the last one. And then same thing, you can drag that over. Or once it's highlighted, you can do the keyboard shortcut Command C, then click on the measure where you want the next part and do Command V. So it's copy and this is paste. Well, there you go. You have those 2 parts there. Next thing we need to add